I'm Tony Galle. I teach art in a K-8 school in St. Albans, Vermont. Um, I am also, I don't want to call myself a tech integrationist, but I am a tech integrator in the building. I try to bring in technology and get tapped to do projects that involve a lot of technology throughout my day. I started by integrating with kids in the art room, and that's sort of evolved into teaching a programming class for 4th through 8th graders. And that's been quite an adventure because my understanding of programming is pretty limited. I did a little bit of HTML in college and know just enough to blog, and that's about it. So when the principal came to us and asked us to invent a programming class where we could teach these kids to build apps for the iTunes store, we all scratched our heads, and of course we said yes, absolutely. But then we were trying to figure out exactly how to do that. And over the course of a summer and into the first part of this year, the conversation sort of took shape, and we designed a class where the kids were using open source software called Stencil to create games. And we figured gaming would be a good hook. It would bring them in, and it would give them a sampling of a lot of different aspects of design. And one of the most important things being learning to learn, being problem solvers, and having to work through critical thinking skills. And we figured all of that could sort of take place in the creation of their games. So that's the focus we went with, and it's been a crazy couple of months, but we're starting to see that it's actually coming together. And the hardest part was we were learning as the kids were learning, and just trying to let go of the fact that we didn't have all the information up front. We knew some, we knew enough, but the rest of it was stuff that we all, as a community of learners, had to figure out on our own. We found resources and tutorials online, so some of it was presented to us that way. There were some aspects of the course that we were all sort of learning all at the same time. We'd bump into a problem, we couldn't find the answer, so we got to teach them how to find the answer. So even if we didn't find the answer to solve the problem in the game, it was a chance to have a lot of teachable moments where kids were watching us go through the problem solving, going through researching the problem online and asking the right kinds of questions and validating the resource we found after the fact, and then trying to figure out whether we put that to use. So all of that trial and error and all of that problem solving really, I think, came in handy, because now they are more comfortable with the code than I am, and I can go to them with questions. So that's pretty neat. And one of the other things we got to do is they got to sample a lot of different things, from character design to animation to sound design, and we tried to model for them a system or a process where they start with an idea, start drafting that idea and putting it into practice, and then if things worked out, great. If not, they had to go back and revisit the initial idea. Sometimes they had a character in mind, and then once they started trying to animate that character, they realized that there were some problems, so they would have to go backwards. So we weren't calling it anything, but they were going through that engineering design process, or that creativity spiral cycle. I've heard it called so many different things, but basically the kid starts with an idea, starts with a problem, tries to work through that problem, and usually comes back around to revisit it multiple times, which is the idea of that spiral, or that cycle. So it's been really, really interesting to see how they're doing all of that. And one of the nice things is they're at a point where they have this game in Flash, because of the platform we were using. They were able to do that. But the next thing we can do is using Stencil. The Pro version of Stencil allows you to export it to Xcode, which can then make it playable on an iPad. And we're this close to making it work, and we're really excited by the prospect of having the kids who have designed their game from scratch and taken it from point A to point B while visiting all these other points in between, and now they have something playable. that they can distribute to the world. So it's been pretty exciting.